Hey everybody, Bentley here again. This is less than a week after my last video. Google, or YouTube rather, is saying that it's been only 4 days since I posted that video, but I think it's closer to a week, but I think it's about 6 days. And if you watch my last video, you'll know that I had a mountain of leaves built up here. Like it was for sure kind of coming way out of the thing. Like I added a bunch to it on the day of the video. And I just wanted to see, or at least show, what these isopods will do with brown leaves. And somebody asked a really good question on the last post, and it was about moisture content. How moist are these leaves? And that's one of the amazing things about isopods, is that they can work very, very well with really dry material when you think about it. So you can see there's no lid, anything like that. I just had a heap of leaves piled up here. So obviously the outer leaves for sure were getting pretty dry. And that doesn't seem to bother the isopods at all. They absolutely need moisture. There's no doubt about it. But they took this mountain of leaves down to a level that, if you go this way, it's just maybe above the rim of the bin. Whereas before, again, it was like this little mountain thing that I had set up, that it was sort of like up kind of like this range. I think it was pretty high. And this is a material that, as I mentioned in the last video, if you threw it in a worm bin, especially if it gets all matted down and wet and whatnot, it takes forever to break down. Especially if it's just composting worms primarily in there, you don't have these shredders like isopods. But isopods, millipedes, especially isopods, are incredibly adapted for processing this exact type of material. So pretty cool. And if we just kind of zoom in here a little bit, obviously my typical low budget filming here, but you can literally see there is an entire army of them. You can see something that I mentioned in one of the other videos was that what they typically do is break down the leaf structure before the veins. So you end up with this big network of leaf veins. And I'm sure they're just a tougher, more resistant material. So it's not as desirable to them. But they're all through this. So I'm going to disturb this for the first time in a little while. And just to kind of show you what we're dealing with underneath. So this is above. This is the super dry upper zone. Underneath, unbelievable numbers of isopods. And you just see it's just veins everywhere. And I had been adding a lot of stuff. That was another thing that I touched on last time. So there's this whole bunch of bones and other things that they probably munched down. But this is a ham bone that definitely looked a lot different when it was added. It still had meat on it, still had gristle, and they love grinding down bones. So if you use an Instant Pot, it's really, really good because it tends to break down the bones already somewhat, so it makes it easier for them. I think these were just like off the barbecue, whatever, drumsticks or something, and they'll still grind at them, but it does take a while. Don't expect them to be converting bones into bone meal or something, at least not very quickly. You can see down below, this is just insane. So all of this leaf structure stuff just getting shredded. and it settles down, it falls down. Look at that. This was some biodegradable plastic. It sort of got in my head. I thought, they grind stuff down. I wonder if, I know worms can't really break this stuff down very well. I wonder if they will break it down. But I think this stuff is definitely meant to be hot composted. So I'm not super optimistic, although, cardboard even takes a while with isopods. So it might just be a thing where it needs to sit and break down a little bit first. But anyway, as you keep going down further, this is kind of where all the, quote unquote castings, it's just, I'm sure some people are probably going to be grossed out by this. Absolutely alive with isopods the further down you get. And there are composting worms in here. So the idea is that everything kind of filters down and down, 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 down. And then you get into this brown composty zone where the worms are working. So there's moisture down there. And isopods absolutely need moisture. I don't mean to give the impression they don't. But they can tolerate, and they actually need much drier conditions in at least part of their habitat. So it works out really, really well. They work out up above, and like I said, they can take masses of brown stuff and just grind it down. Keep grinding, grinding, grinding. And then the worms are cleaning up down below. Isopods are often called a cleanup crew in terrariums and things like that. But it's funny that composting worms can serve as a cleanup crew for isopods as well. So it's pretty bonkers how many isopods are in the system. And what I do need to do is to do a harvest on this system for sure. So I want to harvest. It's probably got a lot of nice material down below, and it's getting close to the point where I need to reset it for sure. Just we're getting up towards the edge, and it'll really, really help to get it restarted again and reset, and maybe transfer some of these isopods out into other systems as well. So I will leave it at that. But hope you found this interesting, and don't hesitate to let me know if you have any questions. Talk soon.